It is 190th day of heroic struggle of Ukraine. Here is Natalia Staroprava, and we'll continue the series of briefings in Mediacentru Ukraine. Who we have right now is Andriy Dykun, the chair of the Ukrainian Agrarian Council. Mr. Andriy, hello. Hello to you too. Can you tell us about this year of harvesting within the world conditions? Well, thank you for your attention to this question. It is extremely, how can I say? I would say these are the hardest harvesting campaigns through the whole history of our country because it is combined out of several parts. Unfortunately, we have agrarians who are there on the occupied territories. We have those agrarians who are there at the front line location, and this is the line of more than 1,000 kilometers, and it's hard to say who is there who goes to the field or doesn't go to the field. Also, we have Sumska Oblast, for example, Chernigivska Oblast, for example. Under normal conditions, the whole harvesting campaign would be already over. But right now, we are suffering, we are facing the huge demand of special vehicles. But right now, nobody wants to go to the north of Chernigiv and Sumska region because there is too many fields mined, and you have already seen this many times how the wheat harvesting vehicles were under the influence of mine fields. But all in all, under the normal conditions, the whole harvesting campaign would be over. Right now, it's a little bit early to say, but 90% are already gathered. So the harvesting campaign is hard. What makes it more complicated is that the whole 2022, almost half a year, we cannot sell our products. Our products are there, have the price lower than their sell price. So the person who basically gathers the wheat is not realizes that he will not be able to even sell it within that money he used in order to gather all these. But there is one but. Thanks to God, the Istanbul wheat agreement has already been working. It's been working for 1 month. 1.5 million tons approximately has already been exported from the country. In addition to that, if we add Dunay, then the new ports and Ukrainian railroad logistical questions, there is no exact data, but I would say this is 4 or 4.4 million tons of export of wheat, and this is the first during the whole Russian aggression period export of wheat from Ukraine. Before that, before the war, approximately 6 or 7 million tons were exported from the country. In March, we managed only 200 tons. We managed to export them. Right now, we gained the number of 4 million tons of export of wheat in Ukraine. And yeah, we see a little bit increase of the prices for our products and production. I said the high hope that this wheat corridor will be working in the future. In September, I would say that in September, these numbers, 4 million numbers, will increase for 1 or 1.5 million tons. And this will be incredibly good news for the whole countries. And the most sowing campaign of Ukraine will take place in March next year. A lot of sellers have believed that the price will increase. So all this wheat were sowed there on the fields, but these are not the main income. Our main income will be from those cultures, from those wheat and wheat vegetation that will be sowed in March. That is why, thanks to God, this corridor works, and slowly but surely the wheat comes out of the country. I hope that the prices will have the positive dynamic. Also, the huge struggle was done by the prices of petrol, because right now it's approximately 46 hryvnias for 1 liter. I'm not sure whether it's like right for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people and for the farmers or not, but this is the conditions in which we live. We do not like it. Unfortunately, we have to tolerate it. Out of those huge benefits are the following. In September, the government has accepted the agreement and will continue giving the credits for the agricultural sector. This gave us a huge uh, chance to go right into the sowing campaign, sorry, because before that this was impossible to do, because again we were not able to sell enough in order to have enough money for the next sowing campaign. So Mr. Andriy, out of those weeds that we managed to gather this year, where to do the agrarians plan to export it, and what will be there, what will be done with those soon vegetation there and the storages. So first of all, I need to say that those wheat in our storages has already become the exporting process. The geography of our outputs is big, and I'm sure that another companies will even buy or take a rent the whole ships in order to be able to transport this wheat to those countries, for example, like Africa, first of all. In addition to this, all international traders who worked in Ukraine before the war, 90% of them stay in Ukraine, and their contracts remain in force, and their contracts will be covering Asia and Africa. All in all, the whole world will be benefiting from them from these. The only drawback is we will not be able to export so much wheat within a little period of time. Right now, we are talking about those wheat that is remaining in Ukraine, and we are concerning about how can we make it safe and not to go into waste. In, in addition to different data and expert minds, we were looking from 15 to 20 tons, million tons. We do not have basically storages for them. The agrarians right now are preparing for them. Sometimes somebody is building the temporary storages, somebody is building temporary places to be stored the wheat, and such organizations as UDSA uh, helped us by providing the plastic collars in order to be able to storage the wheat. And these kind of things, there is a chance that these kind of things will be given left and right to Ukrainian agrarians in order to preserve and save that wheat that they will have, and for the place of which they do not have. That is why I think that yes, this is not so easy, because the special equipment is needed for that. This is an extremely hard task, but I'm sure that it will be solved. But all in all, the wheat that we have right now, we will be able to keep it. And again, I want to emphasize that it all works as long as the sea and seaports will be functioning. This is extremely important for our currency, for our economy. It is also important to understand that agrarian sector was a locomotive of our economy in Ukraine. All in all, in other words, to paraphrase it, agrarians mean the economy of Ukraine. And to support them by means of at least funds, this is the only source where country can gain huge resources and financial resources. And this is again the export of our products. This is basically the living currency from which the taxes and salaries are paid. And for us, every day, as soon as the day starts, we are monitoring the Agrarian Council websites and the Agricultural Ministry of Ukraine. We are monitoring them, how many tons of wheat are taken out of the country and how many tons of wheat is remaining in the country. Because again, this is our life, this is our economical life of our country. Mr. Andriy, can you tell a little bit more about the losses for agrarians, judging by the fact of war, and how much the agrarians lost of the harvesting? Well, as at right now, the biggest losses were suffered by those agrarians who are closer to the front line. And also we have those agrarians who have lost everything. These are mostly those who are there on the enemy occupied territories. And not only is this a loss by occupied territory, but also because of the losses of the special vehicles and equipment, because of the shelling and artillery fire. Right now we are trying to fix and monitor all these losses with the Minister of Agrarian Culture, They are developing the system of fixing and indicating the losses. And I think that this is from one side. If you take another side, if you take occupied territories, of course we do not count on those wheat there on the occupied territories. There is different situations there. Some of them are basically taken out from the farmers by means of force. Some of the vehicle pieces are still trying to work, but unfortunately we do not have any statistic data about those territories. If we take non-occupied territories, the harder situation is in Kharkiv region, Donetsk region. These are those regions closer to the front line because the logistics there is the most expensive as at right now. It is extremely expensive to take the wheat out of there. But the harvest in itself this year is better than the previous year. If we take the central Ukraine, we had to face the drought there, and we will receive only half, just we will receive half left uh, in comparison to the previous year. In other words, we will not be able to gather that much harvesting as we did last year. And I'm not sure how much territory we will be able to take back from the enemy and what will happen to those agrarian sectors, agrarians on those occupied territories. So if we have, for example, if we manage to gain 50 million tons of wheat taken out of the country, this will be half as less than the previous year. In any reason, in any case, due to, let's say, incredible courage of our agrarians who back in March, and I think that the whole attack on Ukraine with such a wide front line, 2.5 thousand kilometers, not to only scare the people, but also one of the ideas I think was also to basically hinder the sowing campaign in Ukraine. So that harvesting that we managed to somehow gather that was gathered on occupied territories. Where do the occupants take it to? Well, judging by what I have talking in an informal way with agrarians there, and sometimes it's extremely hard to communicate with them because of the lack of communication. From what I know, in Kharkiv region, where the occupied territories are, they take the wheat to Belgorod region. When it comes to Zaporizhia and Kherson Oblast, they take it to Crimea. So simultaneously in Ukraine, the ground for the sowing campaign, for the crop sowing campaign, is being getting ready to. What are your forecasts for this, and how can this influence the prices, especially for example, bread? Well, the forecast. So it's not a forecast. It's, I would say, facts. This all will be able to do the forecast when we will have all the numbers. But before that, judging by my mind, this will be twice as less. But I guess this will be for our domestic consumption. Judging by the fact how big the prices for petrol are, judging by the fact how the currency is right now, so it used to be $26 against the $41 today. I do not, but even though I do not see any big enough conditions for the rise of prices in Ukraine. Well, agrarians believed that there will be an export of wheat. So it's not a problem to do the sowing. This is a problem of selling the wheat. So the government guarantees for crediting were continued. So the bank comes to the agrarians and asks them to give the credits back. So the government tells the banks not to touch the agrarians because the government is providing the guarantees to them. And the key point here, and I will tell it again, the wheat agreement. Right after we understood that there might be the export with the seaports, because understandable, we will not be able to take everything out by means of railroad. And this is a hope that was given to us, and I hope this wheat agreement has already been working for 1 month, and hope it will be working in the future. Thank you. I want to remind you that Andriy Dykun was there on our broadcast, chair of the Ukrainian Agrarian Council. I would like to remind you that our next meeting will take place at 13:30. We will talk with Andriy Vitrenko, the first Deputy Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine. Please stay with us.